Hey guys, welcome back to yet another Remnant 2 video. Today I just wanted to do a quick video talking about the new corrupted weapons. I did do a previous video talking more about the Halloween event as well as the corrupted shards and how to get them. If you haven't seen that video already, I recommend checking it out if you're interested in expediting your farming process before the event is over, which is after tomorrow. Also, check out my comment in the comments section. I did some testing and found some more interesting results in regards to the difficulty level and location, so yeah, definitely read that as well. I've had some time to play around and experiment with the new corrupted weapons, so I wanted to give my thoughts about which ones I think work best and what kind of builds. I'm not exactly a master build crafter, but I do generally know what these weapons' strengths will be. Maybe this video will help you figure out which weapon you want to get first if you're stuck between 2 or 3. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with talking about these weapons, starting with the Corrupted Merciless. Now, the Corrupted Merciless is the first weapon I picked up, and I'll admit, at first, I kind of struggled with this weapon. This is a pretty different weapon compared to its non-corrupted counterpart. It's actually probably closer to the Huntsmaster in regards to how to use this weapon. It's a single-shot weapon with a 3-round capacity. It also does massive weak spot damage. The mod power will give you faster reloads, and if you can land 3 weak spots in a row, it'll give you an instant reload. I used a combination crit and weak spot build during my testing, and I was very satisfied with the amount of damage I was doing on headshots. However, against enemies that did not have a weak spot, the damage was okay, I guess. Also, for some reason, the projectile would sometimes magnetize to the enemy's torso, even though I was clearly aiming at their head. It's kind of a weird weapon overall, but yeah, when it works great. This thing will absolutely destroy bosses that have big weak spots like Shellhala or Annihilation. Also, I forgot to mention, but I use Twisting Wounds here. That's kind of like the de facto mutator when you're making a crit build. So yeah, you'll see me use that a few more times during this video. Overall, I really like the Corrupted Merciless. I wish it didn't magnetize to the torso sometimes, but it's a pretty good weapon. The mod power is okay. It's alright. I think generally you can consider this just a better Huntsmaster, which is high praise because the Huntsmaster is probably one of the best weapons in the game. Moving on, the next weapon is the Corrupted Aelion. Now at first I kind of struggled to get this weapon to be useful. It has a rather low ammo count, but it does hit multiple enemies in a line. So naturally I went with bandits as the mutator on this thing, and that helped a lot. Bandits can trigger for each enemy it hits, even with a single projectile. So when bandits kicks in, this thing really shines. The weapon can also get crits and weak spots, although I had a really hard time deliberately getting weak spots to trigger. But when it does land weak spots, Zania's Malice will hit max stacks really quickly, which is nice. The mod power does these kind of orbs, and what you're supposed to do is shoot the orbs with your primary fire to detonate them. Testing this mod power at the ward, I was able to get some pretty big numbers, but in practice it felt like it was hardly doing any damage. And that's if I'm actually able to land the projectiles. These things move so goddamn slow that it's a struggle to actually get them there before the enemies walk away or hit them themselves. Yeah, the enemies can actually destroy the orbs with ranged attacks, so if you have an enemy who's got a gun or throws their weapon, then this mod power doesn't really work. Overall, I think the Corrupted Aelion is really good under the right circumstances. This is probably not going to be a boss killer weapon, unless somebody finds a way to get the mod power to work in some buggy way. But for just running around and farming enemies, this thing works pretty good. The third weapon is the Corrupted Deceit. This is a 2-shot charge fusion rifle. It has high base damage, pretty good accuracy, and a decent crit chance. But the kicker is that this weapon cannot get weak spot hits unless you use the mod power. So the mod power is this giant spinning blade, and it bounces around everywhere, and it's really loud while it does it. What you're supposed to do is press the mod power button a second time to deploy the blade into a trap. While it's deployed, enemies that step into it will take a little bit of damage, and then they'll get this debuff. The debuff allows any shot to be a weak spot hit, regardless of where you land it. Now, on paper, this all sounds pretty cool, but the bouncing blade thing just fucking sucks. My god, this thing will never go where you want it to go. If there's like a chair or a barrel or like a small piece of wood laying on the ground, this thing will bounce off into the distance and you won't see it again. until it suddenly comes back and blows out your eardrums. Worse yet, the spinning blade trap actually deals friendly fire. So if you're playing with friends or you time it incorrectly and deploy it too close to yourself, you're going to be in for a bad time. I found that I got the most mileage out of the Corrupted Deceit when I went full into the crit build. I went with Burden of the Gambler because I'm not getting weak spots anyways, and I basically just ignored the mod power because I couldn't get it to do anything useful. Overall, I think the Corrupted Deceit is this close to being a great weapon. Maybe with some patches they'll fix the mod power and make it a little better, and then I can say, yeah, this is a great gun, just go for it. But right now, it just doesn't stack up to the other options. Moving on, the fourth weapon is the Corrupted Meridian. It shoots rockets that are highly accurate, have a large area of effect, they do pretty decent damage, and you can hold down the button to charge and shoot 3 of them at once. The mod power does this cluster bomb sort of effect that does a ton of damage, and you can bank up to 2 charges of the mod. I went with a mod power focused build for this weapon, and my god, this thing is just so fun to use. The rockets are great and they stagger smaller enemies. If you time your attacks well, you can actually stagger with 1 rocket and then hit them with 3 right afterwards. Maxing out amplitude here is also a good idea. It really boosts the area of effect of the mod power and the rockets. Although you're definitely going to need to go with kinship because the friendly fire here is pretty extreme. Before kinship, I would just die basically if an enemy got too close. Seriously though, this weapon is a lot of fun. It's great. It's a great handgun. Definitely a far improvement over the original Meridian. The projectiles are not considered elemental, so they don't benefit from anything that says fire or explosive, unfortunately. Just make sure you have kinship, and make sure you don't shoot your friends with it. Yeah, highly recommended. Definitely pick this one up. And the last corrupted weapon to talk about is the Corrupted Rune Pistol. This is an automatic handgun that does pretty decent damage and has great accuracy and pretty good range also. The mod power does this kind of hunter's mark effect where it'll mark enemies and make them take 10% more damage for a short period of time. And then if they die while marked, they drop this floating orb, which will buff you if you pick it up. The buff increases your weak spot damage and it stacks a few times. Now, naturally, you'd hear all this and you'd think, oh, okay, you'd want to build this around weak spots. The mod power boosts weak spots, it's an accurate weapon, it's a weak spot gun, right? Well, in my experience, I actually got this gun to go from good to great when I built it for crits instead. This meant I went with Twisting Wounds and the Abrasive Whetstone. I did still keep 𝐑𝗲𝐦's Malice on and not use Burden of the Gambler. And wow, this thing went from like a 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 for sure. Just ripping and tearing through Cotton's Kiln. These guys, which are highly resistant to bullets, by the way, these guys didn't stand a chance at all. The only complaint I have about this gun is it has a very small ammo reserve. So I found myself running out of ammo kind of frequently, especially compared to the other corrupted weapons. But the damage here was exceptional, and I found myself just able to clear out the entire area with the Rune Pistol by itself, assuming I got enough ammo drops from the enemies. Also, a fun thing about the mod power is it actually works for your long gun as well. So you can switch to the Corrupted Rune Pistol, trigger the mod power for that damage boost, and then switch back to Corrupted Merciless, for example. And now you're getting some insane headshots and getting additional weak spot bonuses when you pick up the orbs. The Corrupted Rune Pistol is incredible, and I would not be surprised if this is ending up in some crazy build compilations in the near future. This thing is just fantastic and does a ton of damage. I love it. It's a great gun. So now that we've talked about all 5 guns, which gun would I recommend you go with first? Well, of course, that depends on what you prefer as a weapon. But as a general recommendation, I would say probably the Corrupted Rune Pistol is the best option. If you have kinship, then I recommend the Corrupted Meridian. That thing is just awesome, but will kill you otherwise. If you like taking your time and getting headshots, then the Corrupted Merciless is the best gun for that, probably the best gun in the game at this point. It's kind of hard to recommend the Corrupted Aelion, especially if you have World's Edge, which is kind of very similar. And I honestly just can't recommend Corrupted Deceit. I'm sure somebody on Reddit's going to have some crazy build compilation for it that turns into a god gun. But just in my experience at this point in time, I don't really know how to get this gun to be viable. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have to say about these weapons. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving me a like. It really helps. It helps a lot. I'm serious, it really helps. If you like Remnant content, consider subscribing. That's like 90% of what I do on this channel, just a lot of Remnant content. I got some more runs and stuff coming up pretty soon. If I'm totally wrong about the Corrupted Deceit, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd be happy to try out your build. And yeah, I guess I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.